Welcome everybody to Amtrak's Chicago Union Station, one of our cities and one of our county's most iconic public buildings. We're in a room, the Great Hall, where Amtrak has invested more than $25 million over the last several years, and I hope you all enjoy it. And I'll be inviting all of you back in December when we open the historic Harvey House space, which we've repurposed into a food hall. But today our station has another public purpose, and it's the first time we've done anything like this. We're now a polling place and a ballot drop-off location for the voters from suburban Cook County. When the Cook County Clerk's office came to us with this idea, it was an easy one to say yes to. At Amtrak, we're a public service company. It's all about, public service is about what we do and who we are. The most sacred power all of us have is our right to vote. Giving commuters a convenient place to exercise this power is a public service we are excited to offer. Thanks to Cook County Clerk's Office, the Cook County Clerk's Office, for this idea and for the important work they do. I first met Karen Yarbrough when she was a state representative and then assistant majority leader in the Illinois House. I'm honored to introduce her as our Cook County Clerk now. Karen?
Thank you, Director Lang. I'm thrilled to be here. Let me start off by saying that this place is absolutely magnificent, and our judges who are in the back that you'll get an opportunity to see are thrilled to have this as a working place for the next few days. I'm also thrilled to be joined by my election team. These are the people that make it happen. I get the opportunity to stand out front, but there's a lot of work that makes this happen. And with these folks over here and these folks over here, I'm just grateful and thankful for their work on opening this up. As you all know, most of our voters are from the suburbs. In fact, all of our voters are from the suburbs. And many of them pass through this place because they're commuters. And so why not have this as a place in which they can also take care of another piece of very, very important business, and that is voting. So, did I say I was thrilled? I am thrilled. So today, also, suburban voters can visit the other locations. We got, I think, 53 locations throughout Cook County that have opened today as well. We're seeing lines, but that's a good thing. You know, I've been asked, Karen, are you concerned about all of these lines? And quite frankly, I'm ecstatic about the lines because that means people are engaged and people are voting. My office is also seeing a significant increase in requests for mail ballots. As of this morning, we've got over 500,000 requests for mail ballots. These are unprecedented numbers. And we're working around the clock. That's why I have these folks. They're working around the clock. And Lonnie, you too, get in here. There's no big I's and little U's at the clerk's office. Everybody pitches in. It's all hands on deck. And we gotta have all hands on deck this time around because I cannot believe the number of ballots that we've received, and around the clock, we're getting the work done. So, we've seen an increase in the number of registered voters, too, I might add, for the upcoming election. Right now, there are more than 1.6 million people registered to vote in suburban Cook County. It's an increase of nearly 5% since the March election. We had an election back in March, and we've seen an uptick there. Once again, Amtrak, thank you. Partnerships work. And the more we do this kind of thing, we can lessen the burden for the taxpayers, we can lessen the burden and make it a good and sound decision to get something done for the people of Cook County. Now, I'd like to introduce my election team, and I'd like to have Ed Michalowski to come up. He is the director, the deputy clerk of elections, and he will introduce his staff. And Ed?
Thank you, Clerk Yarbrough. Really appreciate Amtrak's cooperation in making this happen, and the election staff that work closely with the Amtrak department. Latanya, Jim, and Lonnie have all been instrumental in doing this. Latanya Lumpkin has recently started with the office, but bringing in years and decades of incredible experience to make certain that we are razor sharp and doing everything for the voters that you expect to be done for you. Mr. Jim Nally is probably the foremost election lawyer in all of Cook County, and we are lucky enough to have him on our team. And together we're working with all of the election staff round the clock, making certain that everything can come off perfectly for this election. 500,000 mail ballots is an increase of 500% from last presidential election cycle. We are, like the clerk said, seeing huge lines today. I was at 2 early voting sites this morning in Cicero, and at 8:30 in the morning there were 200 people in line. And that is amazing because people want to vote. It's really important, and it's our job collectively to make certain they get the right information. So when you're looking for information on the election, please turn to the trusted source, which would be the election authorities. So between our office and the City of Chicago Board of Elections, we would consider the 2 election authorities covering all of Cook County. Entertain any questions? So the request for mail ballot deadline would be the 29th, which would be the Thursday before election. We're confident that the ballots will be able to be processed and mailed within that time frame, but people are taking the courier methodology of delivering that ballot to them is going to be in the fate of the post office. So we would encourage people certainly to get to us with an application before the 29th. To date, we have submitted about 490,000 mail ballot ballots that have been mailed back to voters, and we're got about 17 bundles in on Friday, which we'll have all of those up to date today. And just to let people know, when you see the mail ballot was ordered, right? You see it, and then people are very nervous that, okay, I ordered it, it was sent, the post office with the private URL is saying it's gone back to the clerk's office. We don't count it until we verify it. So it's run through a sorter that scans the actual signature to make certain that that ballot is taken into inventory, and we can confidently tell the voter that, yes, your vote is here, your ballot is here. Because it's real easy for us to say, we got 500,000 pieces of mail in the mail today, and then everyone would think, oh, my ballot's in. But we want to give people accurate information. We want to make sure that they're given the right information, that it's gone through the scanner, that we've reviewed the signature, that it's going to count. So one of the things that we're hearing a lot is, oh, I sent it in. The private URL that you provided me when I did the vote by mail applications says it was sent in, but it's not as if it was received by the clerk's office. So that process takes steps, and we want to make sure that you know that those steps are important for the voter, and we're not going to skip those steps for the voter. So sending in their ballot through the post office, I mean, it would take the range of days for the post office to get to us. The drop boxes will be picking up on a daily basis and carting those ballots back to us on a daily basis. When it gets to us, it's going to run through a scanner that's going to scan both the ballot and sort it, and also it's going to image the signature on the back of the ballot and compare that signature to our voter registration system. So that's a signature verification process within the mail voting. So that takes a few days to get through. Then we run it through another scan, and it's recognized as coming into the system. Then the ballot is physically extracted and run through the scanner to count it. So. I mean, right now we're probably going to be working on a couple days to when they come in to run out. We've, like anything, we moved this entire process from the 69 West Washington basement to 1330 South 54th Avenue in Cicero. And when you move an entire operation and you do a major build out, nothing like the build out the room we're standing in here, but still, when you transfer technology and you want it to work, it's going to take a couple days to get up to speed. And I got to tell you, our staff has been working all weekend, every night, and they've got it up to speed. So we're going to probably take a few days to process those ballots.
So I just mentioned that I think it's a good thing. I mean, people are engaged. for whatever their reasons are that they want to vote this time. We've seen other elections where, and people always complain about nobody votes. People vote. They vote because maybe it just occurs to them it's the right thing to do. And they want their voices to be heard. The biggest problem that we've had is the misinformation that's out there in social media. And so we're spending just as much time, accepting these ballots and doing all of that part. Our communications team is dealing with that. So, it's complicated. It's complicated, but we're getting the job done. I want to say that I ordered my ballot, and this is it. I ordered my ballot back in June. I received it about 3 weeks ago. And when I hear from people saying that they haven't gotten their ballot, I tell them, wait, it's coming. You'll get it. And even if you get it a little later than what you think you get it, maybe you can do what I'm going to do today. So I've completed my ballot, and my plan is to take my ballot and put it in the secure box back here. That's what we're suggesting if people are feeling, kind of anxious. And people are feeling anxious, but as Ed said, 500,000 ballots, and they're still coming. And they're still coming. Yes. I. I've been voting either early or by mail for some time now. My preference is to vote in person. But due to COVID, I don't want to chance that. And I just as soon, I can take the time to review my choices. This makes it so easy. So why wouldn't you do it? And we've been seeing an uptick every year that we have an election that people this is what they're doing. Now, I'm sorry? The security part, I'm going to ask Jim Nally to talk about the security because we spent a lot of time and effort on security. Jim Nally?
Yes, voting a mail ballot is just as secure as voting in person. You get to mark your choices. The ballot then will be returned in Cook County and in Chicago. It is a postage-paid first-class business reply envelope. So this mail is given priority by the post office. So the security of it will come through the post office. There's a URL on there, and you're able to track your ballot as it comes through. And you will then eventually get an email or be able to check online to know that it's been received and processed by our office. And again, if you don't want to use the post office, I think the post office is very safe. But if it is coming down to, say, a couple days before the election, every early voting site, the 50-plus early voting sites we have in Cook County, will have a drop box, a secure drop box, and any voter can walk in there, and you don't have to stand in line with the people waiting to early vote. The drop box will be as soon as you come into that early voting facility, drop it in there. Those are picked up by a licensed and bonded security service on a daily basis, brought to our Elections Operations Center, and processed along with all the other mail ballots.
Can you speak to concerns people have about they applied and they haven't got it yet? The clerk just talked about how she applied in June and didn't get it until a few weeks ago. A gentleman I spoke to in line this morning said he's voting early in person today because he applied 3 weeks ago, still hadn't gotten it, was worried he wouldn't get there in time for the election. Address those concerns people might have if they've applied and are still waiting.
Sure, I think people are concerned because there's been a lot of misinformation about mail balloting. But we are processing those ballots, and those ballots are going out, and we're more than 2 weeks before the election. People will have their mail ballots in plenty of time to vote them and either mail them back or put them in a secure drop box.
You have a sense about how long after applying they should start to be concerned if they still haven't gotten it, that there might have been a clerical error?
You know what, I would say by the end of this week, everybody who's applied in advance will be able to track that ballot and know it's either on its way or most of them will actually physically have it by that time. Yeah. So they'll be coming in on a daily basis. They'll be processed within a few days of actually coming into our office. So people will be getting those ballots in plenty of time to vote them and mail them back or bring them in.
So by end of business Friday, they should know if they haven't heard anything by end of business Friday, just in terms of what's on the way or not.
They'll be able to know it's on the way. They'll be able to know that they actually have it by that time. And that still will be plenty of time. There'll be almost 2 weeks before Election Day.
One last question on that topic. A gentleman went in there to vote because he had applied for a ballot for mail-in, and he went to vote in person. They asked him if he had that to turn it in to not be used. His vote is provisional until that is sorted out. Is there any extra concern because there are that many more people applying for mail-in ballots? But again, a portion of those people may be concerned in coming to vote in person early or on Election Day. Is there any concern about what kind of backlog you might deal with after Election Day, having to sort through provisional votes and decide what is and isn't counted?
No, any voter who votes provisionally, obviously we want to make sure people only vote once. So we're going to verify if they requested a mail ballot that that ballot does not come in. By law, any ballots can be processed up to November 17th, two weeks after the election. So we have plenty of time to get the ballots processed. They would be postmarked or dropped off no later than November 3rd. We would wait to make sure in that case that a mail ballot didn't come in if somebody voted provisionally in person, and then that provisional ballot would be tallied by November 17th.
You don't see a problem with a surge of provisional ballots causing a delay?
No, obviously the message here is if you requested a mail ballot, it's coming. Don't worry about that. It will get there.
Okay, I'm going to vote.